We're here talking about...
What the fuck is the Doom Patrol?
Doom Patrol.
What did you... Well, first of all, I forced Christian to watch Doom Patrol.
That is true.
I forced him to watch both Doom Patrol and Titans so we can have these conversations.
Yeah, and typically I'm not big on superhero TV shows in any way.
I was very surprised, especially with the giant train wreck that DC Universe has been doing.
Yeah, honestly, I was super surprised with it. I thought Doom Patrol was really well written. Thought all the characters were super charismatic. All the themes were really neat. Like every time they got into a situation, it was always something unique. I really liked Brendan Fraser's pudgy white ass.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
It's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant.
Yes.
It's brilliant. You have great cinema when you have Brendan Fraser asking who the fox is.
Who's the fox? It had really great pacing, and it's honestly the way that I think they should be taking these DC Universe movies and shows. Just giving it a little bit, a touch of lightheartedness, but not too much. Who's the fox? Being dark in the appropriate places as opposed to just being straight out like, oh, we're balls to the walls gritty. Like everything's dark. I'm going through my emo phase right now, like kind of thing.
Like another show we're gonna talk about. Well, I love Doom Patrol a lot more than I thought I would. What I love the most about it is the psychological aspects of it. There's a bad guy. The bad guy's name is Mr. Nobody. He is not just your average bad guy. He's a guy who likes to mess with people's minds. What I appreciate the most is the way this show portrays its superpowers. Each character's superpower in some way, shape, or form is a comment on who they are as a person.
Yeah. This that's the interesting thing, and it kind of ties back into Grant Morrison's writing in the Doom Patrol comics. A lot of this show is kind of about like figuring out who you are, how to deal with who you are, and accepting it. And I really appreciate that about it. It's
politically heavy.
Yeah. And it still does that where it's not so ham-fisted that you're just like, this feels like a marketing stunt, like just to appease people. Like it does it in a proper light where it's enjoyable. You're like, yeah, I can understand that. That's awesome.
They keep it weird. They keep it strange.
Exactly. Yeah.
They know how to have political themes. They know how to have a lot of emotional themes, but still keep it fun and strange in the way that Grant Morrison made his 1989 comic book. Right. Which is very interesting because if you've read Grant Morrison's comic book, you're probably wondering how the fuck they make a Doom Patrol show. Yeah. Or if you're watching this, you're probably asking yourself,
what the fuck is the Doom Patrol?
Who the fuck is Doom Patrol?
Yeah,
because
probably.
I had never heard of Doom Patrol until this show came out.
Right, and I only heard snippets about it beforehand, but not enough to really care.
Yeah. And then I saw this show and I was like, I've got to check out this comic book. And I love the comic book. I highly suggest checking out the comic book. And the whole comic book's on the DC membership, which is the only way to see Doom Patrol, which means nobody's going to see Doom Patrol.
Right.
But like, I don't want the DC app to fail. I'm not even that crazy about comic books, but I do want to see this app succeed because now I'm starting to really get into comic books.
And the DC app is actually a really great way to look into that stuff because you don't have to go out and buy the comics. It's just right there.
And we're not getting paid by DC or nothing.
Absolutely not.
For this at all. Like,
no, but that's the thing though, is it's really weird with all these side streaming services like CBS All Access and stuff like that, where you're not putting enough good content on there to really make people care about it. Yeah. And so that's why I think it's kind of an issue, and probably not a lot of people are going to see it. It probably would have done better if they just like threw it onto Netflix or something. Yep. But
they locked it away behind their membership.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate. Doom Patrol's characters they're all lovable in their own way.
Yeah.
Cliff
Steele,
Elastigirl, or Elastawoman, because I get them mixed up with the Incredibles mother. I'm pretty sure the Incredibles mother is based off of this character. Larry, Niles Calder, and Crazy Jane.
Right.
All of these awesome, fun characters that work together, fight the evildoers, unlike a show that we're gonna get to.
And they're at least properly given their background stories in this one. unlike the other show.
This show is more Teen Titans than Titans.
Well, and it's weird too because Cyborg in the comic, it's never been in the Doom Patrol in the comic books. He's just in this show, so that kind of makes it feel like Teen Titans a little bit more right off the bat because you have a Teen Titans character. But the run-ins that they get themselves into are more unique. It already feels more like a Teen Titans.
Well, we're not gonna get too much into Titans.
Yeah.
But people our age know the early 2000s Teen Titans
Yes,
cartoon show, which we really love. And Doom Patrol is very, very close to that in tone. You know, it's these lovable characters going on this adventure.
Right.
So I'd like to go over each of the characters and talk about like why we love them.
Right.
Cliff.
Who's the fox?
First person you see, it's Brendan Fraser. It's great to see Brendan Fraser after all these years.
Yeah, it really warms my heart to see him like back in parts, like actually being into it and everything.
Yeah, he played in The Mummy, and he played in The Mummy, and he played in The Mummy.
And then he played in Journey to the Center of the Middle of Earth or something like that. I don't remember. I think.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, he was in that. He was in the Looney Tunes Back in Action or something like that. Anyways.
It's great to see Brendan Fraser back, and he does a fantastic job as Cliff.
Who's the fox?
His voice is very...
I can't hold a memory. Everything's fractured. Everything's bad.
It's very like...
It's not the way it used to be, but yeah, it's more deep and it fits that character really well.
Very well, in my opinion, because I know some people probably have different opinions about it, but I love his voice in there.
My wife's probably moved on, but they deserve to know. And they can decide what to do with it. Thank you for everything you've done, but this isn't me.
Only thing is that the writing, he says the F word a lot.
Yeah.
You can probably, everyone says the F word a lot in this show.
Right.
You could probably make a montage of how many F words there are.
Into a fucking hole? In the fucking ground?
Well, don't get snippy with me!
But yeah, but like that fits the characters really well though, because that's...
It fits the character and it fits the show. Don't
Right.
take the show too seriously. It tells you not, it's basically telling you not to take it too seriously.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it has a lot of realistic, emotional, and psychological, themes. I love there's small details that they do in the entire show, really, with the comic books.
So I took that fork and I jammed it in her eye. Over and over and over again.
It's really, really tough to talk about Doom Patrol without getting into spoilers. We're probably just gonna ruin the first episode, if anything.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to talk about these characters without doing
Right, yeah.
But Cliff, he was a race car driver. He got into a crash, and then they have a RoboCop intro.
Yeah.
Fudge.
3 electrical values drive welding principles.
Surgery.
The entire outer skin will be like this.
I was like, oh, fuck yeah, RoboCop.
That was a great reference, yeah.
Yeah, and it opens up and it shows Niles Calder, played by Timothy Dalton, who was in Hot Fuzz. He was the manager.
Yeah, and he was also known as the second least favorite James Bond.
I didn't know he was in James Bond.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I don't even believe you.
A View to a Kill, dude. Look it up.
Isn't that like the racist one? He opens his eyes and he sees like Rita Farr, and you see that she's watching her own movie.
Right.
And like the way this show introduces its characters, even just in the first episode, is very, very well done. Kind of like by the books though, because it's like it does a thing where he's like, so what's your story?
So what's your story?
I flew airplanes.
And I think Rita does the same thing. She's like, so you used to be an actor? And she's like,
You were in the movies?
pictures or something like that.
Yeah.
I think Larry and Rita both do that, which is kind of funny.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cliff becomes a robot, and they really capitalize on the idea of if your brain is in a robot, you're not able to feel, You're not able to taste.
Right,
You're not
yeah.
able to do a lot of things. And in a way, he's kind of stuck in his mind.
Right, he's very stuck, having to get used to this whole new body and dealing with his memories and stuff like that.
And they have a fantastic scene with him trying to learn how to walk, and he's going up the stairs and he's thinking about his daughter that he isn't able to see anymore due to the accident.
Right.
As I mentioned before, each superpower kind of plays off the character's personality. Cliff, he's a man who is used to expressing himself through physical actions. And to have this man become a robot who is incapable of feeling those things that he's used to expressing himself with, I thought was a very interesting take.
I can't feel pain. No matter how hard I hit, where I hit, what I hit, I can't feel pain. That's mighty shitty of you, Doc.
And each character in the show has something like that.
Right, yeah.
So next you have Larry,
Yes.
who is, he has a superpower inside of him. He has another person, basically, inside of his body.
Right, yeah.
Negative energy that has its own mind or something like that.
Yeah, he's constantly fighting with it.
Constantly fighting with himself,
Yeah.
in a way. On the first episode, this is all like first episode spoilers, you find out that he's a homosexual.
Yeah.
And I love the way it's presented because it's right when you learn it, Mr. Nobody's talking to you. He's breaking the fourth wall and he says that Larry has felt like a monster his entire life.
Right.
Which I thought was brilliant. You know, in the 50s, a lot of them have issues with homosexuals back then, and he's always felt like this his whole life, even up to now. With this superpower inside of him, he feels more like a monster. A lot of people that are homosexuals, they have that kind of conflict with themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it was perfect for Larry, and it's perfect for the superpower, and it's perfect for the character.
Right.
Oh goody, she's back.
Rita.
Comes and goes as she pleases, like she owns the place.
Crazy Jane.
Crazy Jane is a girl that has 46 different 64 different personalities. And she basically she can't really choose when one of those personalities decides to take over. And so it's always a grab.
She has the 64 personalities, but each personality has its own superpower. We've seen characters in superhero comics and superhero movies that have multiple personalities. We've seen it in anime all the time. Crazy Jane is a walking anime character.
Literally, yes. Well, she can turn into that kawaii ugu desu character, but then the next moment she's a tsundere.
Yeah, and they have really, really fun scenarios starring her and her multiple personalities.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see each of those personalities and how they interact with the characters as well.
Fucking sapperhead.
What are you doing?
Shut up. It wasn't easy yanking that twat off the fucking driver's seat, so we have to make this quick. Get us the fuck out of here now.
And I really love how they've kept her history a mystery. They keep it a mystery for a while. We won't get into those spoilers, but there's a line that Cliff says. He's sitting outside her door and he says, I don't know what kind of trauma you would have to go through to split yourself up 64 times.
Right.
It gives a lot of volume to who she probably is. So you kind of get a lot of ideas of maybe she's been through a lot in her past.
Right.
Just like everyone else, Crazy Jane has conflicts with herself. She has conflicts with her power. She literally has conflict with herself.
Yeah, literally.
Excited about that actress up there on the screen. I guess I don't have to tell you who the star was. They were always her pictures.
You know what my father used to say about smooth talkers like you? Everything before the butt is baloney.
Rita Farr.
Rita Farr, yes.
Rita Farr is a 50s actress.
Right.
She grew up in that era where everything was more of a facade.
Yeah.
And her superpower is...
Well, it's not really explained too much in the show. Basically, all you see is she turns into blobs or she starts like melting because...
She's Elasti-Woman.
Right.
She's Elastigirl. She's Mr. Fantastic.
They never
she
say
just,
that, but yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah,
And
she can't control her power yet, so she becomes a big blob.
her powers at the moment, because she hasn't figured those out, work more on how she's feeling about things. Like, so if someone insults her ego, she might start like melting in the face, and she has to hide it. And
as I said before, with the superpowers bouncing off of their characteristics,
right.
She is a woman who grew up in a world in LA, which is a giant facade.
Yes.
And her superpower is revealing how she really is, in a way.
Exactly, yeah.
Anxious about what people think about her.
Right.
And her superpower literally shows that to everyone.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so she can't be an actress like she wants to be.
Yeah, yeah.
When she has fucking shit dropping off her face. Each character has some kind of...
Well, now, hold on. We still have to talk about Cyborg.
Oh, I forgot about
Before we wrap
Cyborg.
him up, yeah, because... Again, he's not supposed to be in Doom Patrol, but...
Oh, yeah, he's supposed to be in that other show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cyborg is the same Cyborg as from
right.
the new Teen Titans, from the new Teen Titans comic book.
He kind of just randomly like finds something about the Doom Patrol and shows up where they are, and that's probably my only issue with it, is he kind of just gets shoehorned into the gang.
The Doom Patrol does need someone to tell them what to do.
Keep it leveled out.
To keep it leveled up, because they're all a bunch of losers. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
None of them want to be there, which I love. I love that about them. They're all a bunch of losers that are terrible at what they are trying to do. He's the Monday morning quarterback, which is exactly what Cliff says.
Yeah.
And he's wearing all those jumpsuits and
he's always working out or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got like a love-hate relationship with his dad, who is working for the Star Laboratories.
Who may or may not be using him. And I remember a specific line from Mr. Nobody. He's Mr. Nobody's torturing him.
Yeah.
And he's like, get out of my head. And he's like, are you talking about me or are you talking about your father?
Right.
Because either way, you're on the right track.
Well, yeah, they even discussed that, like when they're first introducing him, is like he's got a quote-unquote privacy mode that is actually not a privacy mode.
Not private at all.
Yeah, so he's basically having to play babysitter a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But he's still a young kid himself, so it's hard, I would imagine, for him to keep all that together.
Yeah. And then we have Niles Calder. It's funny because he's able to fix all these people, yet he can't fix his legs. He's a good person, but he seems to be doing some under the table stuff.
Right,
because he doesn't tell Cliff that his daughter is still alive.
Right, exactly.
For some reason.
Yeah.
But
yeah, as far as we know, like he's just there to take these people that would be considered outside the norm, and especially if they've been in some kind of accident or they're sick or they're having issues where they have powers and they can't control it, he's there to try and take them in and give them a place to live where they're among other people that are like him.
You've no doubt heard of my most infamous client,
Eric Morton.
So Mr. Nobody is the perfect bad guy for all of these broken characters.
Right.
A psychological mind fucker.
Right.
Like the writers, whoever's writing this show can get Mr. Nobody and can do all of these special things with all of these people. What they're afraid of, what they hate about themselves, he capitalizes on all of those things, and it makes them just a perfect bad guy for all of them.
Exactly, yeah, and it's really interesting because that's all encapsulated inside a really strong layer of charisma somehow. Like usually you don't get it too often where a bad guy is very charismatic, somehow likable, but he can still do so many shitty things but still be a likable person.
It's hard to get into spoilers because I want to talk about...
Right, yeah.
All I'll say is that he purposefully tells one of the Doom Patrol members about people he's done things to in the past.
Right.
To purposefully say, don't fucking chase after me because I'm gonna fuck your head up.
Exactly, yeah.
It's brilliant, I love it. But so far, I love the writing in the show.
It doesn't feel, again, like I mentioned before, it doesn't feel like it's a huge marketing ploy.
Yeah, it's heavily based off of his source material, which is very surprising.
Right.
It's because the source material is so strange, but it keeps it really strange, just like its source material.
Exactly, and that's why, even as someone who doesn't watch these kinds of shows very often, I would highly suggest Doom Patrol because it does that thing where it jumps the shark but it just never comes back down. But that's like a good thing. Like it goes so crazy but can still present these serious moments.
Very, very heavy themes.
Absolutely.
Yes. but it is miles and miles better than another little show